You may be wondering where I have been doing over the past several weeks in terms of things for releases and stuff like that, which hasn't really been much to do with reading as much as gaming. So I can definitely say that I have this in my collection now, and I'm playing through. This is Persona 3 Reload, so this has been occupying my time over the past several weeks in terms of things. I forgot that this had a release in early February, and I've been playing through it, and it's awesome so far. I've played through Persona 3 FES, as well as Persona 3 Portable for the male protagonist route. I'm still working through the female protagonist route, but I should probably finish that up pretty soon. But this game has been occupying my time, so if you're wondering where I've been, this has been occupying my time. I know some of you are probably like, Rose, you should just go ahead and do a gaming channel, but since I feel like considering all the things that I have been doing in terms of between my day job, among other things, doing a gaming channel would just be too much on my time. But you know, like I've toyed around with the idea of like maybe having like something related to not just like, you know, like talking about game reviews or like just the story structure of games, but also like kind of like maybe testing the idea of having something where I do like a little brief playthrough of something that I'm playing through, or inserting clips of like a playthrough that I've done like just on the channel for fun. But I really can't commit to doing a Let's Play channel because I admire everyone who can do it, but unfortunately I just don't foresee it for the time being in terms of my schedule and basically trying to put too many eggs in one basket. I don't see myself doing it, but you know, never say never. We'll see how things go. Hi everyone, my name is Rose, also known as TA Summers. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a wrap up of my January 2024 reading. I read a total of 9 books, which some of them I have already gone through in terms of sharing my thoughts on the channel before, and I'll respectively like go through those relatively quickly because I can point you all like in the direction of those videos in terms of ones that I've already extensively talked about. But some of the books that I'm going to highlight in this video are going to be new reflections. So without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. Update. I know that it's been a little while since I've uploaded a video to the channel. I had originally tried to do the bookish discussion video, and it ended up being a failed project, not just once but twice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to table that idea and try to see if I can do that discussion video for another time. So not throwing it out in terms of like the things that I want to do with that respective discussion, but I'm just decided like I'm gonna like wait until I am able to do all the things that I want to do with that respective discussion, make sure that it is definitely like thorough and like it is a thorough and complete discussion in the way that I kind of really want to be able to talk about it at length, and including all of the details and aspects of it that I really want to be able to leave on the table and feel confident about it. I think the last bookish discussion video that we had, like in terms of things on illustrated covers and discrete covers, was actually really constructive. So I thank all of you for your comments and your feedback on that. Like that was really like something that I really valued being able to see and share with the community in terms of things. And I know that's not going to be the only video on that particular discussion that I'm going to do, but for now, like I really appreciate that, and I do want to be able to release a follow-up discussion video on that particular topic, but it just isn't in the cards right now. So we'll table that, come back to it later. So jumping into the discussion with respect to all the books that I was able to read in January, not as many as I wanted to, and actually only one of them ended up being on my formal TBR, so I'm kind of rolling over my selections for January for my TBR into February. So hopefully I'll be able to complete more of that coming into February and being able to incorporate my reads for my February wrap up. But for January, total of 9 different books. Vast majority of them were adult fiction. I don't believe, let's see, judging by all the 9 books I read, only one of them could count as young adult, new adult, and I kind of talked about that in one of my previous videos in terms of like kind of like how it kind of straddled the line between being for that particular age group. But everything here is adult fiction, save for one which is considered to be nonfiction, which I'll get to as it comes up in the video. But to kind of like go through each of these respective books very quickly, especially with the ones that I've already covered on the channel, I've talked about the fact that my first several books to start off the new year did not go as great as I had hoped in terms of things. I started off finishing a book that carried over from last year that I was reading, Just One Night and Pucking Around by Emily Rath. Just One Night is the prequel novella to Pucking Around. I counted that as 2 separate reads. I gave Just One Night, which is the prequel novella for the Jackson Rays series, 3 out of 5 stars. And I gave Pucking Around 1.5 out of 5 stars. And you can see my respective review of that on the channel in the cards above and in the description down below. I also read Desperate Measures by Katie Robert, which is the first book in the Wicked Villains series. I gave that 1.5 out of 5 stars. I think that might be the first and the last book for that respective series that I'm going to pick up because it just wasn't my cup of tea. You can see my review of that in this respective video as well. And then 2 other books that I also covered in that same video with respect to my review of Desperate Measures. I also read The Bully by Will Nash, who is also known as Debbie Perry, which is the 4th book in the Calamity of Montana series, and I gave that 2 out of 5 stars. I thought that was one of the better bully romances that I have picked up, but it still had a lot of things that I took issue with, and I talk about that in my respective video review of that. I was kind of like going through like a couple of books that were classified under new adult bully romances. So that was one of the books that I picked up as a part of a recommendation. I also picked up Fall by Michaela Box, which is the first book in the Sunset Beach High series, which that did not go over well with me in terms of things. That was my only 1 out of 5 star review for the month of January. It just did not work for me, and I talk about why in my respective video for that particular book, which you can see in the cards above and in the description down below. So now with those first 5 books out of the way, let me tell you about the new ones that are that I was able to finish in the month. And all of these I have not covered on the channel before in terms of reviews. I have talked about it on other social media outlets. I believe I talked about it on my Instagram, and I think I briefly touched base on some of these books in my pre-reviews on Goodreads. But we're just going to kind of go through each of them one by one. Starting off with Fated Blades by Ilona Andrews, which is the 3rd book in the Kingsman universe trilogy, which I really, really enjoyed. Like, that was everything that I expected it to be in terms of detailing the relationship between Ramona and Matthias as they navigate a family and existential rivalry to be able to kind of like deal with the respective betrayals that happen with them and end up joining forces to be able to fight the forces that are like threatening their lives and livelihoods. So and uncover certain things. It was a very, very strongly written fantasy romance that I really enjoyed with sci-fi elements. In terms of things of the fights were written extremely well. The characterization was done very well. The steamy scenes were done very well in terms of things, and I really enjoyed the journey that I was able to take with this respective series, and I thought it was a strong entry to follow up with respect to that particular story. So I gave that 4.5 out of 5 stars for Faded Blades by Ilona Andrews. That was just really well done. And I know there was a live discussion that was hosted by Novelty Corner, which unfortunately I had to miss in terms of things. So I'm hoping to be able to watch that back once I get the opportunity to do so. And I'll give a link to that particular live if like once I do the edits for this video. But I'm looking forward to being able to see what people also thought about that, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it a lot. Next, I read The 100 Years War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi on audiobook. And to speak of it, like that particular book is essential reading for anyone in terms of being able to follow the history of Palestine, history of Palestinians, whether it's talking about the Nakba or talking about the coordinated efforts across multiple countries and people who were a part of the movement of taking a lot of land and the livelihoods that in terms of Palestinians with respect to like the continued destruction and dehumanization that is chronicled by it like over the course of over 100 years was just heartbreaking. Like I had to take my time with this respective book. It covered a lot of ground. It was very easy to follow, very easy to read. Being able to understand like the timeline in terms of how events played out, but it is not an easy read in the least. And some parts it definitely, like I had to take breaks in between because it infuriated me. I knew a little bit of the history, but it was very eye-opening in terms of being able to see comprehensively looking at the timeline in terms of this respective conflict and how it up to the point of 2017 escalated in terms of the events in Palestine and in Gaza and the occupied territories. I very much valued this read and thought it was very informative, and I would definitely highly recommend it for anyone who wants a primer on the history of Palestine and Palestinians in terms of the struggles that they have had. It is 5 out of 5 stars. I think it's my only 5 out of 5 star ranking for the month of January, and this is not going to be the only resource that I'm going to read. As I mentioned before, with it when it comes to talking about Palestinian authors as well as like the history of Palestine and being able to talk about that extensively, I thought that was a very well done work and timeline, and I appreciate being able to hear the authors' experiences and being able to like learn a lot from the respective historical timeline from that book. So that was the 100 Years War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi, 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Forced Perspective by Christina C. Jones. This is a novella, and I believe this is part of the New Heights series, if I remember correctly. I gave this a total of 4 out of 5 stars. This is essentially a story between Brooke and Kier, who are the main couple of this respective book. Brooke is a photographer who is keeping a very down low relationship with Kier, who is a popular rapper. And considering how popular he is and how brutal social media can be to Black women in terms of things, you kind of understand why Brooke takes the perspective that she does in on terms of things. And I really enjoyed being able to see the chemistry between these two. Like as part of the course for Christina C. Jones, it was excellently written. The characters were very fully realized. I loved the steamy scenes. I loved the chemistry between them. I loved watching their dynamic with each other in terms of things. And Kai is really, really sweet and really, really chill. And being able to see like some unexpected moments where Brooke encounters him in terms of like her stuff on the job, and trying to navigate the relationship between the two of them in terms of things, and keep a low profile is like, it's interesting to be able to watch their dynamic. So I thought this was a very good start to this respective series. It was my first read through of this particular book for this respective series, and I'm looking forward to following the rest of it. So this is Forced Perspective by Christina C. Jones, 4 out of 5 stars. And then the final book that I read for the month of January was Unraveled by Jaci Burton. This is a novella, and as y'all know, I told you before, I've told you several times, I love beach themed romances in terms of things. That's kind of my bread and butter as well in terms of things, in terms of what I'll pick up. This particular short story, I think, was okay. It wasn't my favorite from Jaci Burton in terms of respective stories on that. This highlighted the relationship between Greta and Mitch. Greta is a small time hotel owner who is working on a beach while trying to be a single mom managing her 2 kids, and just trying to navigate like a lot of things after her last relationship was absolutely terrible in terms of things. So she's kind of like trying to put the pieces together and keep afloat, even when like her hotel is struggling a little bit in terms of business. Along comes Mitch, who is an old, went to school with her way back in the day, and they have a reunion, but then she realizes that Mitch is a billionaire owner who is representing a company that's trying to buy out her hotel, and she makes she makes it very clear that he needs to get out in terms of stuff, that she doesn't want to take any deals or anything like that in terms of things. And the novella kind of navigates their like rekindling of a respective relationship in terms of what he tries to do, like in terms of things. He's a former surfer. He has a relationship with the kids that like you watch grow as he has his interactions with them. Greta is tries to navigate like her conflicting feelings about him, as well as the management for the hotel and things like that. I thought that the chemistry between them was realistic, and I liked the interactions between her and Mitch in terms, and also with respect to the kids as well. And Greta like realizing that like she's missing out on a lot of things with respect to her family, and dealing with the aftermath of her father's death in terms of leaving her the business and things like that. Like, it deals with a lot of complicated emotions and certain things. I just felt like, in a sense, that the way that it chose to resolve like some of the conflicts of that respective book had Greta kind of compromising to a certain extent that I didn't really care for in terms of how it chose to resolve itself. Like, I felt like she was kind of, without going into spoilers, like she made her respective decision at the end of the work on her own in terms of things, but it still felt like the narrative kind of pushed in a certain direction in terms of things, which made me feel like it wasn't, it was pushing to do a resolution to it, but it was not really an easy solution, and it felt like it was like kind of glossed over a little bit too much in terms of the complexities of that. So it didn't sit as well with me, considering like how it started and like what the context of it was for the respective story. Like, I like the relationship. I like being able to see the characters and things like that, and the interactions and things. I just felt like the resolution of it was a little bit too pushed in one direction in terms of things, and that was something that did not feel as authentic to me as I thought it would for that respective story. So I gave Unraveled by Jaci Burton 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was fine. It was a nice quick read from Jaci Burton, but Was it the strongest novella I've read from her? No, but I still enjoyed it. And so that is it for my reading month for January of 2024. Very quick video, all things considered. I'm hoping to be able to pick up more books in February, though February is a very heavy gaming month. If you are a gamer and you know about some of the big releases that are coming out in February of 2024, you'll know where a part of where my time is going to be dedicated, whether it's with Persona 3 Reload or with the forthcoming release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is definitely going to occupy my time in March. But we shall see how things go. I do hope that February ends up being a productive reading month for me, but we shall see how things go, and I'll give you my thoughts on the other side of it. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be informed of when I post new videos. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you next video.